Making a puzzle that people actually want to spend 10 hours building is harder than it looks. You need the right image, the right number of pieces, the right feel when you snap two pieces together, and if you get any of that wrong, the whole experience falls apart. And somehow, one company in a tiny German town has dialed this formula in so well, they now sell over 20 million puzzles a year. This is Ravensburger. Today, their puzzles bring in over $200 million a year. They've become the standard for a great puzzle, so much so that they're behind all major speed puzzling competitions. The question is, how does one company pull all of that off at scale? To find out, I flew to a tiny town in southern Germany to see how every puzzle image is chosen, why every piece's shape is still drawn by hand, and to walk through an archive holding over a century's worth of puzzles. What I learned wasn't just how a puzzle gets made, but how one company turned a 260-year-old product into a premium brand that few have been able to replicate.
So what you see here, we are standing here at the paper insertion. This is just a pallet with the raw material on it. And there the paper got separated from it and got put into the machine or transported into the machine. And we also can produce about 21,000 pieces of paper in 1 hour.
In 1 hour?
In 1 hour.
The printer has 4 color modules: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Each module transfers the color onto a rubber roller, which then presses the ink onto a printing plate. Each plate holds a negative image of one color, and as the sheet passes through all 4 modules, the full image appears.
So what you see here, this is just the final result out of our printing machine. And on this station, we have to check our quality, our printing quality. So what the operator does here is just to check if the the color intensity is all right, and also that the printing quality is good, so that every color layer is there where it has to be.
The paper is then glued to their signature blue cardboard with a laminating machine.
This is just a laminated puzzle with the printed paper and what you see here, the blue cardboard on it. So now, when you feel it a little bit, it's a little bit wet.
Yeah.
So this comes from the glue we put on it, the material. So, and therefore, that we can process it further into the production, it needs to dry. And this is up to 48 hours.
48 hours?
48 hours, yeah. So, because now you can do something like this.
Yeah.
And after it is dried, you can't do it anymore.
Right.
It's really, really strong.
You might say this next part is the most important part of the whole process.
So this is just our shelf with all our die cutting tools we use here to die cut our puzzles. And I can show you some example. This is how a die cutting tool looks like for our puzzles. So these tools are completely made here in Ravensburg by ourselves, and this is complete manual work.
Most puzzle companies buy their cutting dies off the shelf so they have a set of pre-made patterns that they can use across their designs. Ravensburger has someone drawing those patterns by hand, and then they build the dies in-house. That gives each puzzle a unique cut pattern, a signature piece feed that competitors literally cannot replicate.
So now this is the place where the magic happens. So where we make the puzzle out of it. So you can remember, we are just standing at the machine where we cut out these boards and separate it from the waste. And this is a die cutting machine where we really die cut or make the puzzle.
Can we load some up?
Sure.
This machine locks each puzzle into position, then pushes steel blades through the cardboard in a single clean strike, cutting every piece at the same time.
I have a good question for you now.
Yeah.
So, what do you think, how many pressure in tons we need to die cut a puzzle?
I'm gonna say 1 ton.
1 ton?
1 ton should be enough.
We are able here to have a pressure on this machine with 1,000 tons.
1,000?
1,000.
1,000? What? Why do you need 1,000?
When you just think of all the cutting lines, we have to go through the material and also these foam for the resistance. Therefore, we need this high pressure.
They have a secret proprietary process that helps them separate each one of the cut pieces without damaging them. This is what gives the pieces a clean edge with no hanging bits of the cardboard, no dust in the bag, and no pieces stuck together.
So now we're here at the end of the die cutting process. And what you see here is just the finished product we get out of the die cutting machine. It's just a separated puzzle in the plastic bag. And this is how you know it when you open our boxes. and this is like how it lays in.
This is the puzzle.
This is the final puzzle.
All right. Look at that. You just throw it in there?
Yeah, sure.
The puzzle bags are then placed into individual boxes by hand, as not to damage them. The box then moves further down the assembly line, where machinery sets the top lid in place. Every year, Ravensburger produces anywhere between 40 and 50 million puzzles, and right before the holiday season, this facility is running 24/7 to meet the increased seasonal demand. The finished puzzles then make their way to an automated system that stacks them onto pallets and dispatches them to the warehouse. Then these puzzles go out to the stores, but how do they make sure they sell once they're in the store? Every puzzles box is just as important as the puzzle itself. Retailers are obsessed with these box formats because they know something most people don't. By creating a treasure hunt experience, you give your customers something that they can only find in person and that cannot be replicated online. I actually have this Costco puzzle in the studio because I've been obsessed with this idea. They want you in the store, wandering around, searching for protein bars, or whatever you might find, and accidentally finding treasures like this.
And this is how Costco gets me. I spotted Yeti Tundra 65 coolers and my jaw is on the floor at Costco.
It's exactly the kind of thing that we break down in a retail trends report. It explains why a giant like Costco, which does over $260 billion every year, deliberately keeps its website kinda terrible. In this report, you'll find a full breakdown of Costco's whole strategy behind this move. And this is just part of the 5 trends you should know of how brands are winning in retail in 2026. Click the link below and grab it for free. A puzzle box will only attract customers if it has the right image on it. So how does Ravensburger choose the right image? This is Toby Capps. He's a product manager at Ravensburger's development team, and he's got a pretty important job.
My job is more or less to get the coolest puzzle possible. Yeah, I'm organizing all the things that the puzzle needed, starting from the idea to the production. And I'm more or less the guy that invites everybody to the party. Yeah. Yeah, this is, for example, our collection for next year.
Landscapes and cityscapes have been Ravensburger's top-selling segment for a long time, and they make up 40% of the catalog. The rest of the catalog targets new audiences, like millennials who lean towards lifestyle and home decor puzzles. Topic selection comes down to 2 things: tracking how current designs perform and monitoring trend reports for new opportunities. When Demon Hunters took off, Ravensburger had a puzzle on shelves before most toy companies could even greenlight a product. Ravensburger works with illustrators all over the world. It's a deliberate choice. By outsourcing illustrations like this, it can make a catalog of 2,000 products look like it doesn't come from the same hand. That range is how they speak to landscape fans and animal lovers, all under one brand. Once they find an artist, then it's time for the team to convert that idea to an actual puzzle design. They start this process by talking to the artist, using a mood board to guide their conversations, like the one they built for this 4th wing puzzle.
So this is the inspiration board.
Yes.
Right, so you take this inspiration board to the artist, you talk through it, and what comes next?
Yeah, then comes the fun part.
In the first version, you can still see pencil lines. The main characters are shown, but the background and many details aren't there yet. The focus right now is on choosing the right layout for the puzzle.
When we get to the next sketch, and then you already see you have the sun coming from here, so it's here a little bit more reddish, and then it becomes a little bit more bluish, coldish lighting here, and here you already have some reflections from the night, and it's just cool if this step by step comes to the life.
But a good design is still not good enough. You need to reach your customers exactly where they are. That's where Sarah Gistrain comes in.
Our total portfolio currently counts over 2,000 products.
And every year, how many new SKUs do you have?
Usually per year, I would say a little bit more than 300 new puzzles. Sometimes we rediscover these old products. Just to make one example, we are relaunching an 18,000 Star Wars puzzle this year, which has been developed in the past like 10 years ago.
How many puzzles do we have here?
It's around 30,000 products and puzzles.
My God. This is so fun. 500-piece puzzle. It's like Valentine's one. Oh. This is a winter one. The Empire State.
The Empire State Building, and it's even glowing in the dark.
It glows in the dark?
It glows in the dark, yes.
That is wild.
Like out of the 300 new SKUs that come out, how many are able to make it after the first year, the second year?
I would say a little bit more than half of them stay relevant, and other trends decline and then they're cleaned again and replaced with new products. But we also have a lot of old-time bestsellers. For example, the bicycles in Amsterdam which is one of the top 3 puzzle images since, I don't know, over 5 years already.
So what we have here is the bicycle in Amsterdam, which has been in our program for a very long time.
How many puzzles make it this long?
Not too many. Usually there's a sort of rotation, but some of them are also, like, you see certain trends like mountain scenes. We have been in the program since the beginning. It might be a different mountain scene, but it's always kind of the same vibe. I would say dogs also always a bestseller.
We as Ravensburger need to compete in this very fragmented puzzle market where people actually underbid you with a very cheap price. We, more than ever before, differentiate by channel. We sell different puzzles to a hobby store than to mass market, and then again we sell different products on our own website. So we differentiate by channel. We ask ourselves, who is the consumer that goes shopping in that specific channel? What are the needs of that person? And then we actually shape the right portfolio for them.
And sometimes that means making a 40,000-piece Disney puzzle.
So if you want to see it,
Yeah, I can help you.
yeah,
Sure,
we can
let's
do
do
it
it.
together. It's also just the format of it. It's not necessarily the weight. It's just difficult to carry it with just 2 arms.
40,000.
Yep. Fully, and then yep. Thank you.
6.8 meters by 1.9.
Yeah.
Almost 7 meters. That is crazy.
And so it feels like we, as a puzzle company, are more relevant than ever before because people also actively seek some digital detox. And we're really a good hobby for that.
You have a task to do, you found your matching pieces, and at the end you have something positive created. And this is something cool.
At a time where some people are looking for ways to reduce their screen time, putting some pieces of cardboard together may not be a bad idea after all. If you want your business to stay on top of trends and innovating quickly, check out the Retail Trends Reset Report right now. And if you want more business breakdowns like this, hit subscribe. We got a lot more coming. See you in the next video.